Hey, okay. So now that we're kind of back on track, I wanted to talk about this for quite some time. And now that we're in Olympics, in Olympic mode, I think this is the right time. Because a few years ago, I came across this tidbit of information having to do with the Olympics. I'm sure that other people have come across it, but you know what? I'm going to talk about it. There were a lot of um, competitions in the Olympics that have since been removed. Some have come back. I think the trampolines was one of them. And yeah, I think the trampolines was part of the Olympics years ago. And then, like a couple of years ago, they brought them back and everything. So, um, but as it turns out, when the Olympics were brand new, there were art competitions. And you would get medals for these Olympics. So let's start with the gentleman who is responsible. So, of course, there was the International Olympic Committee in 1894 when the Olympics uh, were in celebration with which there's a movie that's my mom loves this movie. It's the first Olympic. It has a lot of big names. Angela Lansbury's in it. David Ogden Stiers is in it. I believe he's in it anyway. And wouldn't surprise me that he's in it, but I know that Angela Lansbury is in it, and it's the first Olympics. In fact, uh, one and basically it's just showing how they came about with the first Olympics way back in the and one thing that they have that I remember clearly with this is it had the young men, they were trying to figure out how to stay true to the very first, way back in ancient times. And well, they were reading uh, textbooks and everything, trying to come up with ideas for the celebrations of to celebrate these Olympics. And they found out that the athletes came out naked. so, so the athletes came out to the surprise of many. They came out naked. Oh, good heavens. Again, I'm sorry I hit the mic. Still getting used to it. And um, it's going to be probably two or three, well, several videos, me trying to get used to the headset. So just bear with me. So it's called the First Olympics. I know that it's on, well, I hope it's not discontinued. It might even be on Blu ray at this point, if maybe. I mean, it's a wonderful movie. It was a TV series. I remember when I was a little kid. And so, yeah, if you ever get a chance to look it up, and big names are in it. Like I said, Angela Lansbury. I'm pretty sure that David Ogden Stiers is in it. I will check on that and I'll put it in the description box for you and everything. So, but anyway, so the first modern Olympic Games, a gentleman from France, his name is Pierre uh, Coubertin, and I'm very sorry if I say that name wrong. Now, I will have all of his information in the description box. I'm not really going to go into full detail about who he is, but for the most part, he was part of an aristocratic family. Yeah, part of a French aristocratic family, uh, and he became part of the athletics and all of this stuff. And so he was second president to the IOC, which is International Olympic Committee. Now, his family was into art. And so, so for that reason, he wanted to incorporate art. Why not? Why not? And so when you had like this was like every 4 years, of course, even back then they started out with the summer games, and then they decided to do like the winter games as well. And then, yeah, I'm not going to go into full, I should do that sometime and go into, but they had the 1908 Summer Olympics in Italy and all of this. So as they were trying to prepare everything for each Olympics, Pierre was trying to push for these art competitions because that's what he knew. That's what his family knew. And they kept saying, no, we got to do the athletic thing. That's not really an athletic thing. You do understand what we're doing here, buddy. And but when you're raised around art, you want to, yeah. But he was a very determined guy, and he wanted to include art into this whole thing. I mean, why not? I mean, I've seen some of the banners for the early Olympics and everything. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I wish that that kind of art was still a thing. Not to sound snarky or anything, but I like the art style of that time. So yeah, before we all know this. I yeah, and I'm very outdated. I'm proud of it. So by the time the Edwardian era rolls around, like the mid 1912, we'll say, because I already said 1908, and that's Edwardian. That's the Summer Olympics again, and that was in Sweden. It says that the Swedes objected the idea. They didn't really want art combined with competing and with athleticism and all of this. Pierre was tough. He eventually said, all right, fine. And even then, it was like the number of people who entered for this competition was only 35 artists who are known to have sent works of art to Sweden, and only 35 artists are known to have sent works of art to Sweden, but gold medals were awarded in all 5 categories. That doesn't seem to add up, really. But that's another thing to consider. We seem to have, and I've said it before, we seem to have a modern mindset with everything, and but we need to step away. The Olympics that we have now are nothing like what they were And even though everybody says, well, I know that, I don't think you do. I think you were just slammed with a fact and you don't like it. Happens to all of us, even me. And so in 1912 is when these art competitions happened. And from what I'm reading, they went from 1912 to 1948. And pretty much the works of art were inspired by sport, and they were divided into categories like architecture, literature, music, painting, and sculpture. And but by 1954, they decided that the art competition was just no, they just didn't want to do it because it was it should be done by professionals. The Olympic athletes were amateurs, and it says since 1956 the Olympic cultural program has taken their place. I've never heard of that before. And but anyway, so as for the competition itself, to get more of a feeling of it, so yeah, it ran from 1912 to 1948. The rules varied, but the core of the rules remain the same. Okay, that's a little, it doesn't calculate in my brain. All of the entered works had to be inspired by sport and had to be original, not to be published before the competition. What, that's a thing that even now, I mean, I have entered in contests and that sort of thing, and they always say that this has to be for the competition, otherwise you will be disqualified. So that makes sense. Like in the athletic events at the Olympics, there was gold, silver, and bronze. Dyslexia, step away. They were awarded to the highest ranked artist, although not all medals were awarded in each competition. On a few occasions, no medals were presented at all. Then why do it? What? Oh, man. Artists could enter multiple works, although a maximum number was sometimes established. This made it possible for an artist to win multiple prizes in a single competition. So they bent the rules a little bit. Okay, that's... At one time or another, there were suggestions of also include dancing, film, photography, or theater. But none of these art forms was ever included in the Olympic Games as a medal event. Yeah, like the photography, because you already have a photographer that's taking pictures of the events. I mean, I've seen photographs of all the different, so how would you know which is what, I mean, you could just have somebody, well, then again, they were doing glass plates and everything. It was the actual film or glass plates or what have you. And especially in 1912, they were still doing the glass plate or whichever you want to choose, whatever type of processing. And so, yeah, it takes a while. And so how would you decide who was, if it was actually theirs? A little plagiarism going on there. And as for film, I guess film would work, but I did hear that the dancing was a whole other competition in its own. I would love to see dancing become part. If you're going to have gymnastics, isn't there like a, oh, what is it called? Like the gymnastic dancing or whatever it is. And I enjoy watching that. And where it's like gymnastic choreography and everything. Yeah, and it has like a whole uh, group of people, not just the one person. Yeah. So I mean, like if you're gonna have that, why not have dancing? Like a particular kind of like what ballroom dancing. You can put in ballroom dancing. It doesn't have to be like the ballet and all of that. And but anyway, so like and again, so they had architecture where basically you would, I guess you would paint architecture. Oh, they had literature. So literature competitions were divided varied number of categories. Dramatic, epic, and lyric literature. So it sounds like it was more poetry than anything else with the literature. And yeah, what was the architecture? Introduced a town planning cat. Oh, I get it. So the 1928 games introduced a town planning category. However, the division was not always clear, and some designs were awarded prizes in both categories. Yeah, that could be confusing. I mean, building an entire, of course, it does show a picture of the 1928 Olympic Stadium, designed by Jan Wiles, won the gold medal in architecture at the 1928 Olympics. So that's impressive. It's still there. And so that's neat. That's really cool. So she was okay, so you did, all right. I'm getting, so it wasn't just town planning, or you just did a building. Okay. Sounded more like you built a whole town. Okay. I'm overthinking. I'll stop. Oh, good heavens. Why do you guys put up with me? I don't know. And there was a music competition. That would be fun. I used to compose music. I haven't done it in a long time. And single event for music was held until 1936. Oh, so they did like swing music. They went through the jazz era and swing music, and that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. And when 3 categories were introduced, one for orchestral music, one for instrumental music, one for solo and choral music. 1948, these categories were slightly modified into choral, orchestral, instrumental chamber, and vocal music. That would be so neat. And but at the same time, I can see why they got rid of music, especially with Olympics. It doesn't really fit Olympics. And literature. Yeah, a lot of these I can see why they, but I do have to say, given the time, 1912, it's a very artistic, it's the Romantic era and very artistic and all this. I kind of get it. There's painting, and there was also sculpture. Now it says here, there's one thing that it says Jean Jacobi is the only artist to win 2 gold medals. He won second with the above drawing titled Rugby. I'll put it up here. I'm sorry, keep hitting the thing. I'm not used to it. And so basically I'll put all of this in the description box so you can read, because it also talks about some of the competitors and everything. And some of these competitors were also the athletes and everything. Yeah, some of these, it talks about like the swimmers were, uh, let's see what it says about Jean Jacobi. Was most successful Olympic artist. Where was he from? Luxembourg painter, and for his drawing rugby in 1928. Oh, I guess that was the only thing that he did. Was it? And yeah, the most successful Olympic. And so let's click on him really quick because I'm interested now. Won the Olympic gold medals, made him the most successful. Often depicted sports in his works. Also designed Luxembourg postage stamps for the 1952 Olympics. Well, that's cool. That's Jacobi. And so anyway, yeah, again, I'll have all that in the description box because it's talking about some of the swimmers and everything that. But anyway, so yeah, for the most part, one of the presidents of the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee, this Pierre. Again, I'll have all the information in the description box for you. He was born into an aristocratic family. His family was very artistic. And again, you have to consider that in 1912, and well, in that era and time, because the first Olympics was 1896. Yeah, it seems like 1996 was the 100th anniversary, if I remember correctly. And but during that time, it was like the Romantic era. Everything was artistic and all of that. And so it was all about art. And so the idea of actually putting art into the Olympics, I don't, it's an off idea, but at the same time, not. I mean, these are supposed to be athletes, archery, running, swimming. Come on, guy. And I mean, when I first read it, I thought that what they were doing was having the athletes sit down and paint something or do something like that. But no, it turns out that these people were alongside the athletes and they were getting medals for their work and all of that. So, but anyway, so again, I will have all of this information for you. Yeah, music, the music in itself, I don't see how that would work. Yeah, some of these, like the literature and music, there were already the magazines during that time. I keep hitting things on my desk. My desk is a mess, so I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm sure it hurts your headphones. So, but the magazines during that time were still taking in stories. So, yeah, that one is, and it just sounds like what they were taking was poetry. It doesn't really sound like they were taking actual like short stories or anything. So, but and the rules sound like any other contest. Like I said, I've entered a lot of contests for like my poetry and photography and everything, and yeah, it sounds like a regular contest or something. But anyway, yeah, this was I thought that it was interesting to say the least. The idea of having art competitions in the Olympics during the Summer Olympics, and they ran from 1912 to 1948. By the 50s, it was done. They weren't doing them anymore, and so and so I figured this was the perfect time now that we're going through the Summer Olympics. So yeah, this is perfect. And but anyway, I will make sure to have all that information for you guys. And yeah, again, I'm sorry about all the noise and everything, but I'm still learning the headphones. So you're just going to have to bear with me on that. Hopefully, just a few more videos and I will have it. So, but anyway, yeah, so art competitions. Who knew?